Hello friends, Amanda here. Welcome back to Handmade No Hallmark. I got another fun card for you today. This card is a fun shaker card featuring an adorable blue bird ready for spring. Let's get into it. Going to be using the Spring Bird stamp set from Simon Says, and I'm actually going to use it in a spring card today. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my bird stamped down. I'm just using some Bristol Smooth cardstock here because I'm going to be using my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. Sometimes that's a mouthful. This is the first time I've really used them in an actual card. I've done a lot of practicing with them, done my swatches, mixing colors that I really like, but this is the first time that I've actually used them on a card and in a video. So I was really excited about how this turned out. I wanted to go kind of simple to start with because I'm not super confident with them yet, but practice makes perfect. So I've got these stamped down with some Onxy Black Ink from VersaFine, and I'm going to put on some music here just until we get through the coloring of our sweet bird and our branch. After all the coloring was finished, I used the coordinating dies to cut out the images. Next, I went in with a Jelly Roll number 10 gel pen to add a little bit of highlight to my images. This isn't necessary, but if you'd like to try it, you can go ahead. I really like the look of it. It fades back a little bit because these are pigment markers, so they pull the moisture, so they will fade back a little bit, but it's there subtly. Next, I went in with a black Jelly Roll pen and colored in the eye, and I'm going to add a little highlight to it a little bit later on. Next, I'm using these Honeybee pattern papers that I got as a freebie in my most recent order, and I really like this blue one. This blue one inspired this entire card. I really wanted to go for kind of blue tones. Lots of spring cards use lots of bright pinks and purples. I really like the idea of using these blues. Next, I've got a top folding A2 size card base using some Simon Says 110-pound cardstock, and I'm going to adhere my pattern paper to it. I was just going to stick with this and do a nice frame, but I decided I wanted to turn it into a shaker just to make it a little bit more fun. Now, I probably didn't have to do the extra step of actually creating a little pocket for the sequins because it kind of fades back the background a little bit once you get those 2 layers of acetate. But I guess that's kind of hindsight. Again, you could just do this flat right on your card panel, but I wanted to make sure I got it nice and straight and that I didn't screw anything up. So I decided to do the shaker portion as its own separate entity and then add it to my card later. So I just used some Lawn Fawn frame dies to cut out some frames. I used some white cardstock for this back one, some plain old Judikins embossable plastic here. You don't have to use the embossable. You could use any clear plastic that you want. I just happen to have this in my stash and I'd like to use it. Again, you could totally leave this step out and not make it into like its own little pouch. I wasn't, like I said, 100% sure I was going to go with this idea, so I decided to do it separate just in case I didn't like it. Going to be using some Darice 3M foam strips to attach my 2 pieces together. This was the perfect dimension and the perfect size for these little frames. Unfortunately, Darice retired these. They're not making them anymore, which makes me really sad because they were the perfect, foam tape for these nice thin things. So I'm glad that I have quite a few on hand. So I'm going to try not to waste them. I'm going to use them sparingly and use them smartly so that I don't run out since they're not available anymore. So that is really sad to hear. Anyway, just going around and really filling that in so that none of my shaker pieces will fall out. Once I had that all done, I'm going to attach my next piece of acetate to my little gold frame here because I wanted to make sure to add gold into this. Now my last card I didn't add gold, but I really wanted to add gold in this one because that was kind of my running theme for this In the Garden series. So this frame was the perfect way to add in that gold. Next, I'm going to fill in my shaker with some shaker pieces. These are just some random ones from in my stash. I think some of them are from Simon. Some of them might be from Lawn Fawn. I just went through and found all of the blue ones that I really liked that I think would go well with this card. Once I had all of those in the center, I took off the foam adhesive around my frame here after I added a little bit of anti-static powder just to make sure that my pieces didn't stick to the frame. They ended up sticking just a little bit, but I wasn't too concerned about it. Go ahead and remove that release paper, and then we can get these 2 frames attached. Now again, I wasn't 100% sure I was going to go with this idea, so whenever I put it on the card, it kind of mutes the background because there is 2 layers of this plastic. But I still think it looks good. Once the bird's on top of it, you don't really notice there's any kind of difference, but I still think it looked cool. Kind of gave it a little bit more interest. Now I'm going to attach that pattern paper panel here with some liquid glue. And I really love this blue. I think this would be a really cool card to do, like if you were really good at watercoloring, which I am not super good at freehand watercoloring, but I think this is super cool. I love this little piece of paper here. I was really debating whether or not I really wanted to use it just because I liked it so much, but I'm glad that I did because it turned out great. Just using my little Tim Holtz mini trimmer here just to kind of even out my sheet. It was a little off, so I just wanted to trim it up, make it look nice. And I think it looked really, really good, and I was glad that I decided to go with this nice little frame. And I wanted it to be see-through so you could see that pattern paper behind it. I'm going to get that lined up using the grid lines on my mat to help me make sure everything is nice and even. And I do like the way that it turned out. Even though it's a little muted in the background, I still think it turned out really, really cool. I like the style or the design of this card. I think you could utilize it in several different ways. You could use it for different holidays and things like that. I think it would turn out really cool. It could be used as kind of like a go-to kind of technique or style. I'm going to adhere my branch down with some liquid glue, and I'm going to kind of tuck it under my frame where I have a little bit of a gap just to kind of ground the image. And then I'm going to attach my bird as well. And I found a dog hair in it. So I do apologize. If you receive this card and there is a dog hair in it, I am so sorry. I think I did go in later on and take it out just because it bothered me really bad. I have 2 large dogs, so I can't really do a whole ton about having a stray dog hair here and there. Next, I'm going to add in my greeting. I'm using some soft navy cardstock and some sticky embossing ink, as well as some antique gold embossing powder. I really think this kind of grounds the image and adds our greeting as well. Brings in that blue and that gold. It says hello spring, even though we got a snowstorm this week. I'm just ready for spring. Bring on the spring. I'm so done with winter. Old man winter, you've had your turn. It's time to go. Once I had that all heat embossed, I took a banner die from my stash to create a little flag banner for my greeting. This step isn't necessary, but I really like the look of the flag banner, and I wanted it to make it look like the bird was kind of looking at the greeting, like he was excited for spring as well. Gonna attach that down using some liquid glue as well. I probably could have marked it and then cut it, but I wasn't using my brain today, and I decided to adhere it down first and then try to cut it. Then it turned out really crooked, so I had to take it off anyway and trim it off screen. So next time I'll put a little mark and I'll take it off and I'll trim it before I attach it. So I kept getting frustrated at myself that I kept making it crooked. So I'll get that attached after I get it nice and trimmed up. And nice and straight, and now we can attach some more glue and we're good to go. And I think it looks great. Next, I'm going to add that little highlight to my bird's eye, and I'm going to add a little bit of aqua shimmer. Now I have to be careful because this is zig, so they are water based, so it will smear a little bit. Add a little bit to my greeting, and that will finish up this card for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button as well as to subscribe so you don't miss out on any more videos here at my YouTube channel. Hope you have a great day. I'll see ya. Bye.
On screen, I've got a few videos that I think you'll enjoy. Consider hitting the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more videos at my YouTube channel.